Today's episode is brought to you by Patreon. If you're interested in supporting the show, go to patreon.com/JoshuaVelas and become a $2 backer today and get early access to the new episodes. I'll be leaving a link in the description down below, but for now, on to today's episode. You're listening to the Augmented Experience podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Joshua Velas. I'm a student, musician, and a gamer at heart. Join me as I sit down every week to talk about all the latest news in the technology, business, and video game world. I hope you guys enjoy. Alright, everybody, welcome back to the show. My name is Joshua Velas. I am your host as usual, and I always say welcome back to the show. Today's episode 155 of the show, and before we get started, I'm going to do a little bit of house cleaning real quick, because you guys know we like to do it around here, and it only makes sense that, just being honest, that we actually do house cleaning. But I do want to say thank you guys for coming back and listening to today's episode. It really does mean a lot to me. You guys constantly keep coming back, and you keep downloading these episodes, you keep sharing these episodes. You constantly keep letting me know how you feel, whether you're listening to the audio version or you're watching the video version on YouTube. For me, it really does mean a lot, and I greatly appreciate it. And I thank you guys for all of it, because you guys, as I mentioned many, many times, and if you're new here, then hello. Like, I always say that you guys play a very key part in this entire process as well. It's not just me sitting in front of my camera or sitting in front of my microphone and talking about technology, business, or the video game industry. You guys are the ones that pick the topics. You guys let me know how you feel about the topics, and I really do appreciate that, because you guys play such a key role in all this, whether you realize it or not, and I greatly do appreciate that. I do also want to say thank you to the Patreon backers for supporting the show. You guys are great, and I love you guys to death. Thank you. Hopefully we can get over 10 backers by the end of the year, because I think that'd be pretty cool if we can do that. But I thank you guys so much for that. I really, really do appreciate that. If I'm being genuinely honest with you guys, that I really do appreciate that. But I do also want to say that we, as a show, have hit over 2,100 total downloads. I think we're close to at least 2,120. I think we're at 2,119 at the time of this recording. But I do thank you guys for that. You guys are great. Thank you guys. I love you guys to death. Thank you. I really do appreciate that, and it really does mean a lot to me. However, it is time that we get on to today's episode, because this is a real talk, and I've been wanting to do this one for a while, because if you have been around since the very beginning, I did an episode where I talked about why I chose engineering. And granted, things have changed. And I felt that it was appropriate to do an update and change it, because, well, that's no longer accurate, given that I'm not an engineering major, or I'm not computer engineering anymore, that I'm now business, or more specifically marketing. So I think it's only fair that we have this discussion on why I changed to marketing from computer engineering, because it's a completely drastic shift. Like, it's not like me going from computer engineering to electrical, or computer engineering to computer science. We're talking about a whole different field, whole different perspective, whole different viewpoint of things. But to me, it doesn't feel any different, because it felt very natural. And I hope that this episode would be helpful to a lot of people who are going through similar processes, where they change from one major to another. They didn't feel comfortable doing what they'd used to do, or different reasons. But I hope, as I explain my reasoning behind it, that it would make things a little bit easier for some people. At the same time, it would help people out, because a lot of people go through this. Like, a lot of people say that it's not uncommon that when you're in college that you will change majors. It's not uncommon for that to happen. And I have stated multiple times that you just don't know with this kind of stuff, Like, explaining a little bit of my thought process behind things, because I feel like that will make things easier to explain. I had it in the back of my mind. Like, I always made a running joke that I would switch to business if things went downhill with engineering. It was always a running joke that I made around my family and my friends because I felt so dead certain that I was going to do engineering. I was so certain that this is what I wanted to do with my life. I had fun doing this. I loved doing this. And that if, all else failed, if things would go downhill or something would happen, then yeah, I would go to business and I would do incredibly well with no issues. However, as time went on, as I started to do engineering, if I'm being honest, I wasn't happy doing this. I wasn't content. And I had always told people that, to me, I always thought of engineering not as a means of getting good money or, job security or things like, getting to do cool stuff, because I always treated engineering as a platform to help people. That has always been my mindset behind the whole process, was how can I help people? How can I impact lives? How can I help people realize something, or at least help people out? And for me, that was the main motivation. It wasn't, hey, like, it's good money. Like, people always say that if you want to be a good engineer, don't focus on the money. Focus on doing it because you love what you do. Focus on helping people, because that's the end goal overall, is that you're going to be helping somebody. You're going to be impacting people's lives. And for me, that was the goal. However, I wasn't very happy with how my school presented the idea of engineering. I wasn't happy that it almost made it seem like they wanted people to be soulless robots. And that just seems like the complete opposite of what I always was told and what I believed and what I saw that engineering really meant. That it was to help people. It was to encourage and uplift each other. Not to be mindless robots, as my robotics mentors would put it. Like, we're here to make leaders. We're not here to make robots. Like, that's what the world needs right now, is more leaders rather than, soulless robots that have no empathy or compassion towards people. And I started to see that as other students, they were so focused on the grade. They were so focused on, like, not compromising one bit. And I thought in the back of my head, that does not seem like a good way to live. That I don't see myself being happy or see myself stuck at a desk job, like being grumpy, being upset, being soulless the whole time and making good money. And as time went on too, I noticed with a lot of my interviews with TI or Texas Instruments that I was told the same thing multiple times. I was told, Josh, you have given us some of the best answers we have ever heard in regards to the business questions for product marketing. However, you're an engineering major. You're not a business major. That doesn't make much sense that you have provided great answers for these questions, but in the engineering questions, you're lacking. And I was told that 4 times. And I thought about that. I let that sink in my head, and I'm like, why did they tell me this 4 times? 4 different interviews, 4 different people, and yet I was told the same thing multiple times. Coincidence? I think not, because I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe that things just happen just cause. I believe everything happens for a reason, and that there's a reason behind things. And as I went by, I started to reflect. I started to think, okay, why was I told this? Why now of all times? Like, I was already in my 2nd year of college, 2nd year being an engineering major, going into my 3rd year. And it was in my 3rd year, basically my fall semester in 2020, the year that we do not speak of, that I realized that, hey, I'm not really happy doing this. And I thought about it. And that was basically, it led to my 4th interview with TI, and where I was told that thing again, the same thing. And for me, I thought about it. I looked back, I reflected at everything that I've done, and I thought, am I really doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Or am I just wasting my time? And for a lot of people, they don't like hearing that. They don't like hearing you being told, like, people in general don't like getting told, hey, you're wasting your time, because time is something you can't give back or you can't get back. It's irreplaceable. So when you tell somebody, hey, I think you're wasting your time, to be honest, it really is a slap to the face sometimes, because you're just like, huh. It makes you question, am I making the most use out of my time? And for me, I thought about that. I'm like, am I really making the most out of my time? And I thought about it. And then I reflected, and I talked to my mentors, and I talked to my mom, talked to friends, I talked to family. And I reflected and I thought about, Josh, what are you doing right now? You're a podcaster. What do you talk about? Technology, business, the video game industry. You talk about marketing. You talk about the smartphone markets. You talk about why the average consumer is really the majority in a lot of situations, and people tend to ignore them. However, there's also different markets. There's the prosumer market. There's the actual pro market. There's the average user market. Like, there's different markets, different users, different needs, different wants. And I thought about it. And I'm like, Josh, you are being told that you are giving the best answers for a lot of the business questions because you run a podcast. And they got you through interviews because they were very interested that you ran a podcast. And I was like, huh. Maybe there's something here that I'm just clearly ignoring and I'm kind of being dumb about. And I thought about it. And I reflected and I said, I think this is what I need to do. And for a lot of people, they're like, Josh, that's a bit career suicide, don't you think, bud? Like, you're talking about switching from engineering to business. That's a complete shift, a different college. And because obviously I'm accepted at Texas Tech University, but there's different colleges inside. So I went from the Whitaker College of Engineering to the Rawls College of Business. And that was a tough change. Well, the change was very simple. It was actually kind of straightforward, but it definitely pushed me back. Like, I'm stuck here longer now. Like, I'm no longer going to graduate in the class of 2022, but now I'm graduating the class of 2023. But I've always told people, no matter how long it takes, I will graduate with a degree. Come hell or high water, Lord willing, that I will have a degree in my name. Because I do not want to let what my mother and father have given up so much so that I could have this opportunity. Because I feel like that would be a slap in their face for me to not finish. I feel like it would be a slap in the face to the people that are no longer here who would have loved to see me walk across that stage. That would have been a slap to their faces if I don't finish. And to me, I think my parents raised me well, where you finish what you started. You don't quit. Things get hard. That's okay. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep walking. And that is something that, it was funny because that's what my grandfather always said. And to me, that's always been the most important, is constantly pushing forward, is constantly picking yourself up, dusting yourself off, and just keep moving forward. Learn to take the punches. And that's something that I have had to learn a lot, is moving forward, striving to do better, to be better. Not striving to be perfect, because I will never be perfect. There's only one person who is perfect. And if I'm being honest, this is where I go into my beliefs a little bit. as a Christian, obviously, yes, I do believe that Christ is the only perfect human being and that he is the only way. He's the only way that all this is going to work out for me. If I'm being completely honest with you, that I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I know that everything will be okay. I know that he does not make mistakes because he's perfect in every way. He knows everything. He knows what has happened, what is happening, and what will happen. There's nothing that is a mystery to him. There's nothing that is a surprise to him. And for me, I can only patiently do it one day at a time. Focus on today rather than tomorrow, because I am not guaranteed another day. But for me, it became very clear that marketing is what I'm supposed to be doing. It's where I was supposed to be. Yes, I didn't waste time because I used that experience and I learned. It helped me become a better student. It helped me, get the good grades, because obviously I was good at it because, well, I'm pretty good at Cal, and well, my Cal grades clearly showed I was pretty good at math. So that helped me out a lot. And I made a lot of friends. I made a lot of people that I really care about, and I treat them as family. And I appreciate all that experience, all those people I met, because they're still with me. I'm just doing something else, because everybody's race is different. Not everybody is going to have the same run, Everybody has something that they're supposed to do. Everybody's race is different. Everyone will run their race differently. You just focus on your own. And for me, I'm excited to see what happens, because the business job fair is coming up. Obviously, I'm thrown into the pool, so we'll see what happens. Am I able to land an internship? Because to me, that would be incredible. That's a great connection to have, is to have an internship. But I do want to take a moment and talk to the people that are going through major transitions and things like that, because for a lot of people, it's scary. A lot of people, as I mentioned, they feel like they wasted their time, or it caused a lot of other stress with family, where they're like, come on, man, you constantly change majors, bro. Like, come on, you got to make up your mind. You're wasting time, you're wasting money. And it causes a lot of stress, because it's happened to a lot of people I know. Like, they've changed majors and it caused a lot of stress with family. And I get it. Everyone says, like, that's different. Like, everybody's family will handle things differently, and that's true. But how do you address people like that, Like, how can I relate to that? Because I didn't have that issue. Being personally honest, from my experience, my mother was very supportive of my decision, and so was my father. And they both agreed, like, hey, if you're not happy doing engineering, do what you're supposed to be doing. But learn to live with the consequences of your decision and be okay with it. If you can live with it, cool. If you can't, then you probably shouldn't do it. And so far, I'm happy. I'm content with what I'm doing, because I like my business classes. I like my teachers I met so far. I like some of the people I met so far, and they're pretty cool. But to the people that are struggling with major changes or are thinking about switching majors, take a step back and reflect. Think about, why are you doing this? Why did this idea pop in your head to begin with? Question it. Is this just you maybe trying to make excuses? Or are you coming to the realization, like, hey, I think I'm supposed to be doing something else. I think this is not what I'm called to be. Because in my case, yes, I am not supposed to be an engineer. Even though, yes, I am still considered, what many people do consider as a natural engineer. And what that means is, I see a problem, I provide a solution. That I always want to try to help. Because that is what an engineer does, is you see a problem, you want to provide a solution. And that is why I've always been considered a natural engineer. My dad is a natural engineer. My dad, didn't get an engineering degree from college. Like, my dad didn't even go to college. But my dad is one of the best engineers I know, because he just knows how to do stuff. Like, everything just sits in his head, like, perfectly. Like, it just makes sense in his head, and I couldn't even imagine all the things that he knows. But if I'm being honest, it's scary. It was a bit scary, because it's like, am I going to be stuck here longer? Am I have to spend more money? But I realized that everything will work itself out, and I just have to take a leap of faith that everything would be okay, that I would be okay. And I feel like for a lot of people, they need to hear that, for those that are going through major changes or thinking about it, because it happens. Like, it's going to happen. It's just, how do you address it? How do you deal with it? And to me, again, I'm thankful for everyone that has been with me throughout my time as being an engineering major, and I'm excited to see where things go as being a marketing major now. But the only thing that will remain constant is I know that God will always be with me and that I will be okay. Because every good gift comes from above, that He makes no mistakes. Everything has its time and place for a reason. And I guess I had to learn this lesson, like, hey, you love doing engineering, you like working on computers, but I think you like doing this more because it's naturally who you are. You like talking, you like communications, you like interacting with people, you like talking about products, you like talking about markets and doing analysis and using, rational and common sense a lot, which, to be honest, that's kind of business 101, is using a lot of rational and common sense, which surprisingly a lot of people do lack. But to me, it's very interesting. It's interesting so far because we've only started this ride, and I can only imagine where it goes from here. Will it be challenging? Absolutely. It will still be challenging. That doesn't change because every major is challenging in some aspects, whether you believe it or not. But it's going to be interesting to see how this all turns out. But come hell or high water, I know that I will have a degree under my name, Lord willing. But I'm just going to focus on today. That day will come, but it's not today. But I hope that doing this episode shed a lot of light on what was my mindset behind why I switched to business from engineering, and if it was helpful to any of you that are going through major changes or wanting to consider a major change, because it is scary, whether you believe it or not. It really is, because it's like a lot of things can happen. A lot of variables are moving, but sometimes you just have to take a leap of faith. But I thank you guys for your time. I know this episode's not really for everyone, but to be honest, I wanted to do this because I felt it was necessary to do an update because, well, I'm not doing engineering. But at the same time, I felt it's also helpful because it shares my mindset, my insights on going through this, of going through a major change. Because I thought, being wholeheartedly honest, I thought throughout high school, I was never going to change majors. I thought I was going to be firm and I was going to go through with the major I chose. And here we are. But I guess that's why people say don't make plans, because you don't know how things will change. But I thank you guys for everything. Thank you guys for your time. Obviously, at the time of this episode, my birthday will be in 2 days. So since this is the Wednesday episode, my birthday... Actually, no, I'm wrong. Yeah, my birthday's on Thursday. So my birthday's the day after this episode comes out. So I'm going to have fun. Thank you guys for your time. I'll try not to do anything stupid because, well, obviously the 28th is my birthday and we also have to record Friday's episode. So yeah, we're going to try not to do anything stupid because I kind of need to still be sober minded while doing this episode because, well, yeah, I think I need to be a little bit sober while doing it. But I thank you guys for your time. I love you guys to death. Thank you guys for taking time in your day to listen to this episode. If you like this episode on YouTube or dislike it, click the dislike button, click the subscribe button, notification bell, the normal jazz we like to do around here. Thank you guys so much for everything. Patreon backers, you guys are great. You obviously will get this episode early, so there's your perks. But until then, guys, I will see you guys Friday for Friday's episode. But I really do appreciate that you guys, took time to listen to this episode, and I hope it was helpful. If it was helpful to you, let me know. You guys can find me on my social medias and the links down below. But until then, I love you guys to death. Be safe. Have a wonderful week. I will see you guys Friday because the week is not over. So thank you guys and bye. Hey there. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day and listening to today's episode. If you're interested in supporting the show, whether it be financially, clicking the follow button, or just sharing the episode, it all works for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I love you guys to death.